Hare Krishna. Question: is science based on rational faith and religion on irrational faith? Answer: no, not at all. Actually, rather than simplistically apportioning rationality to science and irrationality to spirituality, we have to recognize that both have rational and trans-rational elements. So, of course, some of the scientific theories which fall in the arena of science fiction more appropriately can be irrational also. And some of the beliefs that some people who follow certain religions may have, they may also be irrational. But first of all, with respect to science, physicist John Polkinghorne, a celebrated physicist, he says that physics is powerless to explain its fate in the mathematical intelligibility of the universe. What is he saying over here? Let's look at the first point, the mathematical intelligibility of the universe. This means that now mathematics, it is some sort of calculations that we make. We basically think of mathematics as a tool to make calculations, to add, to subtract. Now, why should the laws of nature, why should nature, which reductionistic scientists, scientists who think that there is nothing beyond matter, believe that it is simply arising from fundamental particles upwards, why should that follow the laws of nature? Now, why should randomly moving neutrons and protons form an atom which forms covalent bonds and which, say, form substances that follow the law F is equal to gm1 m2 upon r square, or that they follow the law E is equal to mc square? Now, these are mathematically precise laws. So why does nature follow laws, and not only laws, mathematically precise laws? So the mathematical intelligibility of the universe is itself a great mystery. And now, if we just were to begin with materialism itself, matter is unconscious, and matter would just fall apart. Now, if we just keep a pile of construction material near a building site and leave it for 6 months, it will just get eroded or spread away by the wind, and in other ways dissipated. It won't construct itself into a building, and certainly not construct itself into a precise building with perfect height and width and location of windows, and certainly not such a way that, you know, when, say, at the time of the a particular equinox or a particular solstice, you know, things are visible exactly like that. If you saw something like that, you would know this has to be designed by someone. So now, if science doesn't start with God, if science starts only with matter, then matter has no reason, there is no rationality in the idea that matter will organize itself, because matter does not have consciousness, matter does not have rationality. So then how does it organize itself? But if we did not assume that it organizes itself, then the result would be that we would not be able to do any scientific research. So science has that faith that so there is one thing is there is mathematical intelligibility in the universe, and second is science has that faith that we will be able to discover it. And now thirdly, what is being emphasized is physics is helpless to explain its faith in the mathematical intelligibility of the universe. That means that now why should we believe that there has something like this? Now physics in and of itself, being the study of matter, cannot talk about God directly. That is more in the arena of metaphysics. So if physics by itself cannot point to God as an explanation. When we move from physics to the philosophy of physics, a philosophy of science, then we can posit God as a rational explanation. But in and of itself, physics requires the faith that the universe is mathematically intelligible. So it has mathematical order to it, and we can discern that mathematical order. So now, where did that mathematical order come from? How did our minds get the capacity to discern that mathematical order? These are things which we cannot answer on our own. Or rather, not on our own, that physics cannot provide answer. Physics simply has that faith. So from the point of view of physics, we could call this an irrational faith. That's not irrational in the sense that if we consider that the universe is a result of a supremely rational being, supremely rational brain. So that's how there can be rationality. But from the point of physics, it studies only a matter, then it is a leap of faith which physics takes. And there is no reason for taking that leap of faith if we only assume matter itself to be the cause of everything. So we could say that science operates on faith that is not exactly rational from a point of view of rigid rationality that rules out anything transcendental. So now there are many ideas within physics also, which for example in quantum physics, which are not particularly rational, which don't seem particularly rational. The idea in quantum physics that the nature of the observed reality depends on the observer, that's a complex subject, but Einstein actually ridiculed it, and he said, you know, the moon continues to exist even if I am not looking at it. So now we would say, isn't that obvious? But actually, according to certain interpretation of the quantum theory, he says no, that doesn't, the existence of the moon, because ultimately everything, simple explanation I'm just giving, that ultimately everything is just particles. So how those everything is just waves. So how those waves coagulate or coalesce or whatever in such a way that we get the appearance of a moon. That is difficult to explain for quantum physics. So there are whole ideas. Now there are many aspects of string theory and theory which are actually more of science fiction, and many of them are irrational. So science also has irrational elements to it, or some scientific theories which have no basis, they can be well classed as irrational. So science may also have some aspects to which are transrational, in the sense that there may be an order in it which we cannot understand right now. So as I said, the idea, the notion that there is a mathematically intelligible order to the universe, that is transrational within science, if we understand, accept a transcendental reality. Now when we come to spirituality also, when we come to religion, religion often is filled with dogmas and rituals, but spirituality is more an exploration of the higher dimensions of reality, and it has a theoretical as well as an experimental or experiential side to it. So now it also begins with rationality. I exist, things around me exist. Where did it all come from? And I see order around me in the world. Where did the order come from? I have a desire I don't want to die, I want to live forever. Yet everything around me is temporary. So where has my longing for everlasting existence come from? These are rational questions, and these are these questions have rational answers. Is philosophy, is the basis of philosophy. So and that philosophy leads to spirituality. So is the basis of spiritual philosophy, we can say. So in this way, there is rationality even in the spiritual dimension, the spiritual exploration. Now, of course, some people may have some beliefs in some strange things which can be irrational, and there can be some things which are transrational, in the sense that because God is omnipotent, He can do certain things which we cannot conceive with our rationality. So therefore, there are transrational aspects to it also. So essentially, we understand that God has given us rationality, and that rationality we can use to understand science, and we can use to understand spirituality. With science we explore the material dimension, with spirituality we explore the transcendental dimension, the spiritual dimension. And both involve, in both, some upstarts, people can come up with ideas which are irrational, but both involve rational aspects, and then both involve leaps of faith which take us to transrational aspects. Now science, even by going through rational and transrational, can only point towards the eternal spiritual reality, because it focuses primarily on the study of matter. Whereas spirituality can take us, can only give us understanding but also it can give us the experience by raising our consciousness and elevating us to the spiritual eternal level. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Of course, some of the scientific theories which fall in the arena of science fiction more appropriately can be irrational also. And some of the beliefs that some people who follow certain religions may have, they may also be irrational. Hare Krishna. Question: is science based on rational faith and religion on science and irrationality to spirituality? We have to recognize that both have rational and trans-rational elements. So, rational faith, answer: no, not at all. Actually, rather than simplistically apportioning rationality to, but first of all, with respect to science, physicist John Polkinghorne, a celebrated physicist, he says that physics is powerless to explain its fate